A company's reputation can take decades to build, but in our digital world, it can be threatened in an instant. It's become this fragile asset in an age of endless online echoes. So the real question is, how are these modern battles over reputation actually fought? And, more importantly, won? And that quote right there, it just perfectly captures the feeling of a modern corporate crisis. It's not some faulty product or a bad sales quarter. No, the threat is something far less tangible, but man, it's potentially way more damaging. A storm of information just brewing out of sight. So, at the very center of this storm, we find Nextmart Incorporated. By all accounts, they're a titan of industry, a household name. But as we're about to see, even the biggest players out there can be incredibly vulnerable to these shifting digital winds. Now, to really get what's at stake here, you have to appreciate the sheer scale of Nextmart. We're not just talking about a company, this is an institution, a true colossus that has pretty much defined the landscape of online commerce for years. And that's no exaggeration. We are talking billions of dollars flowing through their platform every single year. Nextmart is a critical piece of the economic puzzle for millions of people, both consumers and small businesses. Okay, so here's the core conflict. On one side, you have the Colossus, Nextmart, built entirely on a foundation of trust. And on the other side, an online blog called Market Mirror, and it's waging this relentless negative campaign. It's like a digital age David versus Goliath, where the slingshot is information itself. All right, let's dissect what's really going on here. This isn't just a case of bad press. It's a very specific strategy called digital disparagement, and it has its own unique anatomy. The primary effect is something called reputational erosion. And the key word here is gradual. This isn't some sudden collapse. It's a slow, steady chipping away at the trust a brand that spent decades building. And honestly, that's what makes it so dangerous. This really gets to the intent behind the whole thing. We're not talking about random criticism or a few unhappy customers. No, Market Mirror's campaign is a deliberate, calculated, and direct assault on everything Nextmart has built its name on. So what does this assault actually look like in practice? Well, it kicks off with this escalating stream of negative reports from Market Mirror. They position themselves as this independent voice to seem more credible, right? And the impact just ripples outward. It spooks investors, it undermines partnerships with other brands, and most dangerously, it starts to erode that user trust from the inside out. This whole situation puts Nextmart at a critical crossroads. They're up against an opponent that's just hard to pin down, like a digital shadow. So the central question for their leadership becomes, how in the world do you even begin to fight that? And this brings us right into the war room. Nextmart really has two main options on the table. They can go for aggressive action, think lawsuits, public takedowns. It's a high-risk, high-reward play. It could end things fast, or it could completely backfire and make everything worse. The alternative is strategic patience. Just ignore the blog, don't give it the oxygen at once. The risk there? Well, that negative story is allowed to just grow and fester, completely unchecked. There's really no easy answer here. Now, while Nextmart's crisis feels really specific, the threat underneath it all isn't unique at all. This has become the new battlefield for modern business, and you can see these kinds of fights for narrative control playing out all over the place, in all kinds of industries. For instance, think about Magma Ventures. Their entire business is balancing the huge profits of adventure tourism with the catastrophic risk of, well, a volcano. Their whole reputation is built on a story of being thrilling yet safe. One little accident, one miscalculation, and that entire story and their business could be gone in an instant. Or take a smaller player, someone like Vintage Vibe. Their battle is all about authenticity. They are in a constant narrative war against imitation brands and a hostile takeover bid. If they lose control of their story, the very thing that makes them unique, they risk losing their entire brand, their whole identity. And finally, you've got a powerhouse like Green Chain Solutions. Their success was built on this foundational mission of sustainability. But now they face a crisis of identity. Do they chase aggressive growth that might compromise that core mission? This isn't just a business decision. It's a battle for the soul of their company and for the story that defines them to their customers and investors. So with all these different battles raging, how does any company navigate this modern battlefield? Well, it really comes down to having a playbook, a clear strategy for building a resilient brand that can actually withstand these kinds of shocks. And here it is. This is basically what that playbook looks like. It's a 4-step framework. First, you have to analyze the threat with almost surgical precision. Then, you move to control the narrative. You absolutely cannot let others define you. Third, you've got to sustain the trust of your key stakeholders, your investors, your partners, your customers. And finally, you have to fortify your brand against the next tremor, because there will always be a next one. And this brings us to the most crucial point of all. Reputation is not some passive thing that just happens if you do good business. Not anymore. In today's world, it is an asset that has to be actively, deliberately, and continuously constructed and defended. Which leaves us with one final critical question to think about. In a world where anyone with a keyboard can create an echo that circles the globe in seconds, who's really in control? Who is the true architect of your reputation? Is it you or is it them?